experience with the police comes from the highway patrol. As a truck driver, I get stopped by the highway patrol a lot. I mean, it could be, the simplest thing, maybe a light out or something. So I have a lot of encounters with the highway patrol, and they usually aren't good. They tear the truck up. They're rude. Seems like they hate truck drivers, but that doesn't stop anything. And my question is basically in situations like that, I mean, what should we do?
Well, what I would do is I would be as polite as possible and be as nice as possible. I'd ask for the officer's name and his badge number, of course. But then I would absolutely call the Highway Patrol department and file a complaint and say, hey, this is what happened.
Yeah.
And I think if it gets up to the right places, then it'll change.
Now, I've done that before, and it's crazy because the same cop that I filed the complaint on,
Right.
I end up rolling past him again, and guess what?
He hit you?
He got me again.
Oh.
And it was even worse. So.
No.
Hey,
I didn't mean hit you. I mean,
no.
I meant.
Hey, Dale.
physically.
Welcome to the two worlds of a black man and a white man.
Can you tell the viewers or me what exactly did Trump do to lower the unemployment value?
And
Did he
and
sign the
create
bills?
jobs. And create
Okay,
jobs.
let him answer.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, right away, it was all about the attitude. Now you have a pro-business attitude in the White House. And so what he set out to do was to make sure that that businesses knew that it's going to be a pro-business economy. And you saw what happened with the stock market. It went crazy because the stock market is looking at the future. It's saying, here's where the country's going. And it's just started booming. And all of a sudden, everybody started thinking, okay, I can take the monies. I mean, we used to talk about how many trillions of dollars, not just billions, but trillions of dollars there were sitting idle because people were afraid that where the economy was going. They weren't afraid anymore. And businesses started to spend and started to say, we're going to bring jobs here. We're going to start creating jobs. We're going to start to invest and reinvest in America. And some of those companies that were overseas were now saying, we're going to bring our businesses back. And so it immediately, in some respects, you could say it's an attitude change or it's a futuristic look change. Whatever it was, he did. And then, of course, they knew what he was going to champion was the healthcare, which was killing some jobs. He needed to that he was going to do tax reform that has been keeping businesses from expanding. So right away, when they knew that those couple of things, and he was going to fight immigration and stuff, et cetera, those are the things. Illegal immigration, and that those three things, all of a sudden, people said, yes, we're going to, now we can
Okay,
invest.
Professor John, go ahead.
And if I could bring a few of those,
moving show.
if I could bring a few of those things together, we talked about the problem of these part-time jobs that don't pay well. We've also talked about the ironically named Affordable Health Care Act that only raised health care prices through the roof. Probably, in my view, the most positive, the most important part of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, which President Trump heralded through Congress last December, was eliminating the individual mandate, which most people know as the Obamacare or the Affordable Health Care Act penalty, where if you can't afford health insurance, the IRS came and said, guess what? You have a tax penalty on top of it. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, starting in 2019, eliminates that penalty. Now, there's obviously a lot more work to be done on health care. That issue is not closed. But just businesses knowing that we're going to finally stop going down the direction of penalizing people and government controlling health insurance to that extent, I think that's been a big part of why you see that trend in unemployment going down and down and down, the stock market going up and up and up. I think it's because we see a president and a Congress that are willing to tackle that difficult issue.
Okay.
And foreign policy too. I mean, I believe that we're looking much more respected across the world now than we were before. And so now even other countries are more willing to trade with us.
216-578-1490. Who's on the line? One line.
Seriously, cities are the economic engines of any community. If you look all over the world, cities are where you see the growth, where you see the innovation. And the reason why I believe in some areas of the country we've seen stagnation is we haven't done a good enough job of managing our cities. And you and I had this conversation last year when you said, well, what do you think of police brutality? What do you think of the inner city? And my response was, it's not about one bad cop or one bad business. It's about the leaders in that city. And I think as a city council person, one of the most important jobs in this world is council person, just like Judge Capers had back in the day. Good council people, good mayors make for great cities, and great cities make the entire region expand economically. So I think the inner city is critical, and you need to have great mayors and councils so that we all succeed.
And
To
as
the
Trump-
Republican. I talked to Brother Alex, okay? Yes, hello?
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I'm not for that right to work because I feel that it is set up to bust up the union. So I'm not really for that. Now here's the guy talking about the so it seems like when you say it seems like that Republicans seems like you're playing both ends against the middle.
All right.
That's
Thank
all
you.
I have to say.
All
Yeah,
right.
so one of the things that needs to be
Thank you for your
talked
phone
about,
call.
too, is when you get into legislation and state legislation, whatever, or federal legislation, the devil's in the details. So you need to find out not what the caption reads, but what the details and what the gist of it, and what are the unintended consequences and what are the good consequences. Well, I did fail to address one of the person's issues with foreign businesses going out and leaving, and that. Well, they're all coming back. They're coming back because why? Because Donald Trump has made this country a business-friendly state. You've got business after business after business that are coming back and or reinvesting and investing into the United States. My gosh, it was amazing how much, and we're talking about billions and billions of dollars, which is back to my buddy Rick Santorum had been talking about in 2012, is repatriating those dollars back. In Lake County alone, our biggest company, private company, is Steris. Steris some years ago reorganized in Great Britain because of the tax advantage there versus here.
All right. 216-578-1490. Who's on the line? One line open.
Yo, Alex and Dale, you hear me okay?
Yes.
There's some corrections that should be made in this conversation. So I'm going to make the ones that I think are the most pertinent. Barack Obama really did not bail out the auto industry as much as he gave federal dollars. He lent federal dollars to the auto industry and to some of the banks in order for them to regenerate their capital.
Correct.
And they paid back off of the interest that they made from it. That's what he did.
That's
He basically did that by getting out of the way. And that's not something that really took a lot of constructive thinking as much as it just took some basic common sense. If this doesn't happen, then this negative thing's going to happen. So that's not fair to say that. And then
Wait a minute. I take issue on that Wichita. Well, why didn't Bush use common sense in that since it was so easy? Okay.
That's a reason. That's a good question, man.
Well, then answer it. You know all the answers. Why didn't he use common sense?
I can't answer that.
Okay. All right. Move on then. Move on to your next
That
question.
is my
Okay.
intention to do so, to move on to the next thing.
Thank you,
And
sir.
As it applies to Donald Trump hiring the best people for the job, that's really not his history. He pulls from a pool that is very restricted. And I've been in Trump Towers a couple times myself, and I have seen a lot of women there. And I do know that a lot of women are on his staff in the White House and have been on his various staffs when he runs his private businesses. However, he pulls from basically a white pool. And there's a select group of colleges that he tends to like to lean on, if they went to college at all. Most of them have been. And he wants a certain look, too. They're bright, they're capable, they're good employees and good people that run his businesses, but he doesn't pull from the best possible. He just pulls from his real restricted group. That's his nature. That's how he is. That should be noted.
All right. And
And then in
thirdly,
reference-
go ahead with your third question because you hear it off the air. Go ahead.
All right, and then in reference to the right to work, I'm with that too, but it should be noted, and I want you guys to go a little bit further into this, it should be noted that although it makes it open for unions to do their thing, as well as people that don't want to join unions to do their thing, it also makes it difficult for people who don't want to pay into union dues, whether because they're not part of the union, difficult as well. And I think that should be better addressed as far as the right to work state. So
All
you
right,
follow what I'm saying?
we're gonna let them address
let
it,
me-
okay?
let me address that last
I'm
one
working
first.
I
before.
just want you to address it. Okay.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
going before the news. Go
I'll
ahead.
give you an interesting story. So there was a gentleman running for state representative down in southern Ohio, and his wife was a member of a union. And the union was, and she wanted to stop paying into union dues because her union dues were going to pay for attack ads on her husband. And she couldn't even get out of the union. Now, is that crazy? So she's paying in to have attack ads on TV running against her husband. Go ahead,
My
Alex.
goodness.
Well,
Go
you know,
ahead, sir.
I'm in the auto parts industry. If anybody doesn't know, that's why I'm in Michigan. And yes, Obama saved Detroit. It's one of the best things. And what I have to say is, I've seen a lot of government programs. That auto bailout was one of the best managed programs I've ever seen anywhere because of the people he picked. But it's something the country needed. Okay, and I never said anything bad about the auto bailout, and I will always defend it because it saved a lot of jobs for our country. Because if those auto companies went out of business, we'd have